2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm visiting with my friend Insomnia. As I lay there, mulling thoughts on life, liberty, and the pursuit of sleep, I realized 65 was rapidly approaching and that I needed to start thinking about retirement. I knew I wasn't going to retire at 65, but suddenly I realized it was close. Several months later, I received my professional recertification that expired in another 3 years. Suddenly, that date made the perfect sense to be my retirement date. With a date in mind, I started considering what should retirement look like. What did I want to do? How did I want to spend my time? In other words, what were my goals for retirement? And the more I mulled it, the more I considered what I wanted to do, one topic came back over and over again, and that was to travel. But how would I go about doing this? Soon, I was off to the RV dealers, checking out what options were available. I quickly learned the size I was interested in were known as Class C motorhomes. And since my concept was that it would be my primary vehicle as well, I quickly realized that the Class Cs were still a bit too big for what I wanted. So I started looking at vans. For a while, I even considered buying a plain cargo van and converting it myself. I even consulted with a specialist down in Austin who had a 3 year waiting list. And because of that, he charged me for a 15-minute phone call. But it was worth it because he certainly gave me some good food for thought. I went back to the Class Cs again, looking at some very small ones. And again, they just did not seem to be a good fit for me. So after much consideration, I said no to both a van or a motorhome. Oh my goodness. I was overwhelmed with the choices in trailers. I knew a destination trailer was too big for what I wanted. I wanted to avoid a pickup, so a fifth wheeler was not an option. I had no toys, so I didn't need a toy hauler. So that left the travel trailers because the pop ups were just too small. Even once I set the choice of a travel trailer, there were so many options to consider: aluminum, fiberglass, one axle, two axle, what type of layout, what kind of bells and whistles, how many sleeping positions did I want. Just so many choices. Over the course of the next year, I looked at literally hundreds of small trailers. Anytime I was driving by a dealership and they had a size or a style I had not seen before, I would pull in and take a look at it. After much consideration, I decided on which one I was going to go with. The first time I drove by the Casita factory on I-45, I fell in love with their design. And when I first started looking at trailers, that was my first stop. After my fourth visit to the factory, I realized that was going to be the way I would go. I decided on the 17-foot long Spirit Deluxe model. This is a model that includes a bathroom. And for 2024, they added for the first time the option to get the exterior color scheme white over gray. And I just thought that looked so sharp. So a year ago, In April of 2024, I visited yet again and put down my deposit. In October of 2024, I made yet another trip down to Rice, Texas, to the Casita factory, but this time to pick up my pretty new trailer. It was so bright and shiny on the outside and so showroom perfect on the inside. Was so excited to pick it up. And as I did, I gave the trailer a name, the Flittering Owl. Sadly, this was during the work week, and I could only take one day off, so I was unable to go camping that night. However, I did find a place close by to pull over, so not only could I get a selfie or two with it, but I could go through the trailer and all the systems, making sure I understood everything the technician had shown me. If I needed help, I could get back there quickly. However, I had no problems, so off to the storage area I went. The next weekend, I grabbed my grandsons and got on the road, heading to a state park in Oklahoma. Along the way, we passed another casita. Once we got to Great Plains State Park, we set up the trailer, making sure it was level, dropping the supports, hooking up the electricity, connecting the water, turning on the hot water heater, and putting out the awning. After that, we explored the park, because after all, that was the whole purpose of going camping. Once the weekend was done, we put everything away, stopped by the dump station, took care of that, and then drove back to the storage unit. We certainly learned some things on the trip. With two 10-year-old boys and myself in such a small space, it does take some extra effort, but we learned. A month later, it was time to move into the Flittering Owl full time. But before that could happen, I had to move out of my apartment of 14 years. And that was quite the challenge. Luckily, I had some good friends show up to help out and make the task much, much easier. But I will admit, bags did get rolled down the stairs to be collected again at the bottom. After looking at multiple places, I chose Dallas Hi-Ho RV Park to be my home for the next few months. It was a bit old-fashioned, and I kind of liked that. There were plenty of trees, and everyone I met was easy to talk to and very welcoming. Soon, I was all set up. Over the course of the last 5 months, I've certainly learned a lot about living in a small space. You have to think ahead. You have to know what you want to do in 3 steps so that you can be ready to do those steps. But all in all, I've been quite comfortable. There's been a few kinks with the trailer, but all of those have been worked out with the assistance of the Casita warranty folks. Now it's time to hit the open roads. Retirement, merely a vague thought 3 years ago, becomes a reality in 4 days. So it's time to hook up the Flittering Owl and off we go. Follow along as we see where the roads take us.